You know that specific feeling when you open your eyes in the morning, and instead of peace, you feel a sudden, heavy weight pressing down on your chest? You haven't even moved a muscle, yet your heart is already racing like you are late for an exam you didn't study for. You reach for your phone, not because you want to, but because you are terrified of what you might have missed while you were asleep. The blue light hits your eyes, flooding your brain with urgent emails, global tragedies, and other people's perfect lives. You lay there, paralyzed under the blanket, feeling exhausted before your feet even touch the floor. You tell yourself you are just tired or maybe just lazy, but deep down, you know it is something else. It is that silent, suffocating dread that whispers you are already failing the day before it has even begun. But here's the truth that took me years to understand. That heaviness isn't a character flaw. You are not lazy, and you are definitely not broken. What you are experiencing is a biological collision. Your body is trying to execute a delicate chemical process called the cortisol awakening response, but your modern environment is hijacking it. You are trying to run a high-performance operating system on hardware that is currently overheating. The problem isn't your willpower. The problem is that you are fighting against your own biology. And that is a fight you will never win until you understand the rules of the game. Let me explain exactly what is happening inside your body using a simple image. Imagine a little stick man living inside your brain. Let's call him the operator. He is in charge of a highly sophisticated machine, your nervous system. When you sleep, the machine cools down. It enters a deep standby mode to repair itself. When you wake up, your body naturally releases cortisol. Now, we often think of cortisol as the stress hormone, but in the morning, it is actually just fuel. It is the spark meant to gently wake the machine up. Think of your body like a car parked outside in the freezing winter. A wise driver starts the engine and lets it idle for a few minutes. They let the oil warm up and circulate to every gear before they even touch the steering wheel. But what do most of us do? We open our eyes and immediately slam our foot on the gas pedal. By checking your phone instantly, you are flooding the operator with dopamine spikes and adrenaline triggers. You show him a stressful email, a tragedy on the news, or a perfect influencer, and the operator panics. He sees danger lights flashing on his dashboard. He dumps emergency fuel into the engine. The engine sputters, smokes, and overheats. That tightness in your chest? That is your engine revving at maximum RPM while the car is still in neutral. That mental fog? That is the exhaust smoke filling the cabin. You are not anxious because you are weak. You are anxious because you are redlining a cold engine. You are trying to sprint at full speed before your feet have even found the ground. For years, I thought the solution to this morning chaos was military discipline. I thought I needed to be tougher. I tried to force myself to wake up earlier, to work harder, to scream at the operator to get it together. I treated my morning like a battleground that I had to conquer. But fighting a system that is already overheating only causes more damage. Here is the mindset shift that changed my life. You do not need more discipline, you need a corridor of protection. The morning is not a battle to be won. It is a bridge. It is the sacred, delicate transition space between the dream world and the real world. Your anxiety is simply a signal that you are crossing that bridge too fast. You don't lack motivation, you lack a gentle entry. You are not broken for feeling this way. You are just a biological creature trying to survive in a digital world that forgot how to breathe. So, how do we build this corridor? I stopped trying to copy the billionaire morning routines I saw online and turned to something much older. I adopted 4 tiny Japanese concepts that prioritize rhythm over intensity. This is the system that repaired my engine. The first step is Hinatabako, which translates beautifully to basking in the sun. In the West, we treat light as a utility, something we turn on so we can see. But biologically, light is information. When I used to wake up and immediately look at my phone screen, I was feeding my brain artificial, confusing signals. Now, the very first thing I do, before checking a single email, is walk to the window and open the curtains. I just stand there for 2 minutes. I let the natural light hit my retinas. This isn't just poetic, it is chemistry. This specific spectrum of light travels directly to the hypothalamus in the brain, flipping the switch that says production mode and turning off the sleep mode. It halts the melatonin that makes you groggy and releases a steady drip of serotonin. It is the only way to manually reset your circadian clock. You don't need coffee yet, you need photons. Light is not just illumination. It is the ignition key. Once the engine is sparked, we need to warm up the fluids. This brings us to the second step, Sayu. This is the practice of drinking plain hot water first thing in the morning, not lukewarm, and definitely not cold. For years, I shocked my system with ice water or acidic coffee on an empty stomach. Imagine pouring liquid nitrogen into a warm engine, the metal would crack. Drinking Sayu gently wakes up the gastrointestinal tract. It increases blood flow and warms the body from the core outward. It is an act of kindness to your internal organs. I sit and drink it slowly. I feel the warmth traveling down. It signals to the parasympathetic nervous system that we are safe. We are not running from a tiger, we are just waking up. You cannot be anxious when your gut is warm and relaxed. Warmth is the physical language of safety. Now that the body is warm, it needs to move, but not the way you think. The third step is radio taiso. If you go to any park in Japan at 6:30 a.m., you will see people of all ages moving in unison to piano music broadcast over the radio. They aren't doing burpees. They aren't lifting heavy weights until they fail. They are doing rhythmic calisthenics. I used to think exercise didn't count unless I was sweating and suffering. But intense cardio spikes cortisol, the very thing we are trying to manage. Radio taiso is about flow. It lubricates the joints and stretches the fascia. It tells the operator that the machine is mobile and ready, without triggering the danger alarm. It matches the rhythm of the music. When you move in rhythm, your brain enters a state of coherence. Motion creates emotion, but only if the motion is rhythmic, not frantic. Finally, we must protect the mind with ubai tori. This is an idiom written with the characters for cherry, plum, peach, and apricot. The meaning is profound. These 4 trees all bloom in spring, but they bloom at different times, in different ways, and they never compare themselves to each other. This is my strict rule for the first 30 minutes. No external inputs, no social media, no news. The moment you scroll, you are instantly comparing your behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. That is Ubatoris' enemy. By keeping the phone away, I tend to my own garden. I focus on my own blooming speed. I protect my mental space from the pollution of comparison. You cannot grow your own fruit if you are staring at someone else's harvest. Even with the best intentions, I kept falling into 3 specific traps that sabotaged my progress, and I see almost everyone else doing the same. The first mistake is using caffeine as a loan shark. I used to drink coffee the second I woke up, thinking it gave me energy. But science tells us that caffeine doesn't create energy, it just masks fatigue. It blocks the adenosine receptors in your brain. Think of it like putting a piece of black tape over your cars. Low fuel light. The car isn't refueled, you just can't see the warning anymore. When the caffeine wears off in the afternoon, the tape comes off, and you crash harder than before. I learned to wait 90 minutes before my first cup, allowing my body to wake up naturally first. The second mistake is the all-or-nothing trap. On days when I woke up late or felt terrible, I would say, well, I ruined the routine, so today doesn't count. And I would spiral back into bad habits. I treated the routine like a fragile glass vase that shatters if you drop it once. But a routine should be like a rubber ball. If you drop it, it should bounce back. Missing one day is not failure, it is just data. The final mistake is consuming junk food information. You wouldn't eat a moldy sandwich for breakfast, yet you feed your brain toxic news headlines or jealous thoughts from social media first thing in the morning. Your brain is most suggestible right after waking. Whatever you feed it in those first 20 minutes becomes the emotional background music for the rest of your day. I want to be very gentle with you right now because I know how hard it is to change when you are exhausted. You might be watching this thinking that you are too far behind, or that your anxiety is too strong for these tiny habits to work. But please listen to me. You are not a machine that needs to be fixed. You are a garden that needs to be tended. There will be mornings when you fail. There will be days when the check engine light comes on and you just want to hide under the covers. That is okay. Recovery is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You might feel like you are going in circles, but you are actually moving up, slowly, one level at a time. You don't need to do all 4 steps perfectly tomorrow. Just open the curtains. That is enough for day 1. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. Give yourself the grace to start small. The goal isn't to become a productivity robot. The goal is simply to wake up and feel a little more like a friend to yourself and a little less like an enemy. You are doing better than you think. So, here is the final truth. You do not have to be a victim of the modern world's urgency. You are not a machine designed to respond to notifications. You are a human being designed to respond to the sun. Stop telling yourself, I am an anxious person who can't get out of bed. Start telling yourself, I am the architect of my own peace. When you shift your identity, the habits stop feeling like chores. You don't open the curtains because you have to. You do it because that is simply who you are now. You are someone who prioritizes your own light over other people's noise. If you are ready to stop rushing and start living, and if you want to understand the deeper psychology behind why we do what we do, consider joining this community. Subscribe not for the algorithm, but for your own peace of mind. Let's reclaim our mornings, one sunrise at a time.